Stuck on an island with 2 decks in hand. With Takeoff on board, things are just as I planned. I'm thinking I'll win when my boo plays triple coils, inks and brawls, and my plans are foiled.
Come on now, let's play some Lorcana. Watch Big Takeoff rise up from dueling lava. We'll slurp spaghetti like the tramp with seeds of blue to help us ramp a smorgasbord of lore. It's Lorcana.
We're back, baby.
Ow, 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 ow!
And we're better than ever.
Yeah. We spent the last 2 weeks studying how to make this podcast even better. We were studying so hard that we couldn't do the podcast.
It occupied every moment of our free time that we weren't working around the house that we just bought.
Uh-oh.
That means that it occupied none of our time.
It's an unfortunate thing, folks. Our streak was broken. Our over 1 year long streak, 63 weeks in a row streak was broken.
A little bit sad, but you know what? Life happens. And in our case, a lot of life is happening all at once. I'm happy to be back on the horse here. I'm happy to be recording again in an entirely new room for the first time, in the room that will eventually house our baby.
Our bebe. Very exciting.
It would have been 3 weeks without an episode, but Toby broke into our house while we were gone.
Yeah, I don't know if you folks caught wind of that, but Toby broke into our brand new house. We've since changed our locks, so I think we're safe now.
Some people seem to enjoy that episode, so I guess we're going to leave it up.
Yeah, I mean, it did well. And Toby, in his defense, was trying to do a good thing.
He had our best interests at heart, but he did break into our house and record on your laptop and drain the whole battery to do it.
Yep. Which then meant that we couldn't find the charger for my laptop because it got lost somewhere in the move. And that meant that we couldn't record the podcast on any platform because we also didn't have the computer set up because we also didn't finish painting and changing the electrical outlets in this room. So, anyways.
Yeah, let's wind this back a little bit here. We have 2 computers. Katie has a laptop. I mostly use the desktop that we have. When we moved, we had access to your laptop, which is what Toby used without plugging it in. He drained the battery on it. We could then not find the charger for it and had to order a new one. The charger got delayed by 2 weeks. We just got it today.
Like 2 hours ago.
Now, the other thing was that we have this desktop computer, and our house is just full of boxes. Everything is everywhere. It was really wild because we were trying to finish certain things. For instance, in this room that we are currently sitting in, I wanted to replace all of the electrical outlets with grounded and or GFCI outlets so that everything was ready for when the baby came. Well, because it's an older house and because all of the outlets were different and because all of the construction was done at different times, etc., it resulted in me having to tear a giant hole in the wall in order to replace the outlet. And then I had to patch the drywall and wait in between skim coats of the drywall and the mud. And then I needed to paint it and then replace the outlet, etc., all so that we had a place in the house to set up a desk and a computer, which means that we just simply could not record a podcast. It would have involved like finding some kind of spare moment of time to I don't know, go to a studio, hire a studio out or something. I know that you can do that. It would have been ridiculous, right? And we have so much going on. So we really do apologize for the delay in episodes, but please understand that it was simply due to overwhelming life circumstances.
Yes, overwhelming indeed. And for those of you who are joining us here for the first time, I'm Katie.
And I'm Brett.
And welcome to Smorcana.
We do talk about Lorcana on this show, believe it or not.
Yeah, we also talk about snacks. We talk about Disney. And if you can't tell, dear listener, there's a lot going on. There's not just a lot going on, though, in our lives. There's also a lot going on in the world of Lorcana right now.
So much has happened. I mean, we could take a couple of hours and just go through all of the news. There has been an absolute avalanche of news over the past few weeks.
Yeah, the vibe overall is excitement. I know we use the word excited a lot, and we have to stop talking about how we're just excited about everything.
I probably edit out us saying that we're excited about something at least 6 or 7 times every episode.
But it's not our fault, because I feel like overall online too, the vibe is excitement, and people seem pretty positive about all this stuff that's happening for Lorcana right now.
Overall, yes, I'd say the vibe is positive. There's a little bit of angst about Worlds not being public, about it only being those who have earned the invitation to the main event there. There's some angst about rotation, which we'll get to. There's angst about no DLCs being announced, but we know that information is coming. But overall, besides that, so much positivity, so much excitement. A lot of that news was leaked in advance of the stream that Hoffensbach put on.
Yeah, leaks are tough. I'm going to guess that Toby was the guy behind this leak.
I mean, we know he's a little bit of a burglar.
Yes, he definitely is. It's a tough thing to see a leak come out. While it's exciting to get new, like, top secret information, right? It's also kind of a bummer because, you know, people have worked hard to curate that information and they have a way that they want to deliver it to the general public, and it kind of stinks. It's not built to be leaked. It's not like, oh, I hope somebody on the internet sees this and we can kind of get the word out and start a buzz. It's definitely meant to be saved for a very well-planned and well-monitored kind of release.
If we had been able to record around the time that news was leaked, it would have been really awkward because it leaked at the end of the week, 4 or 5 days before the cast was scheduled. And so it would have been weird to record and not mention the leaks. Everybody knew all of this information, but we would have had to kind of like pretend that we hadn't seen it, or maybe we just would have to acknowledge that we're not going to address it. It puts you in a weird position as a content creator. So it's just bad for everybody, I think, when that happens.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Toby about it so that he understands in the future not to leak things.
He's eager, but I think some of his earnestness is over the top.
True.
Let's get to some of our heavy hitters here. What were some of our favorite bits of news?
Well, Bambi's finally coming to Lorcana.
Bambi has somehow become underrated.
Right?
That movie's amazing.
It's so good.
It's positively gorgeous. It has this really neat socio-political undertone to it. I mean, the book was written as an anti-fascist book.
Yeah. Man's in the Forest. It's a really upsetting movie for a lot of people. I think it has a bad rap as being scarring and upsetting. But honestly, I think Pinocchio is far more upsetting than Bambi is.
Right. Pinocchio is a nightmare-scape.
Yeah.
But Bambi is, emotionally devastating.
And emotionally mature.
Mm-hmm.
It's upsetting. His mom gets shot. That's not easy to handle.
Let's save this for the Bambi episode. We have to do a Bambi episode. This is convincing me right now as we're talking about it.
That's so true. We could go on for hours and hours. But there are so many great characters in Bambi that I think are going to be a lot of fun in Lorcana. You got Thumper, you got Flower.
Yeah, as we're talking about it, it's yet another topic that I can't wait to discuss in a future episode. And I hope this underscores the point that, yes, we are planning future episodes still. Do not worry that we are disappearing from the Lorcana content creator space.
Oh God, we certainly are not. Just because we missed a week and maybe we'll miss a week at some point at the end of August does not mean that we don't want to be here doing it. There was also another huge IP release here for Lorcana.
The Goofy movie.
Ooh.
We've had a handful of dream cards from this flick because it is near and dear to both of our hearts. We love the Goofy movie. And so I'm really excited to see it eventually get represented in Lorcana.
Bum, ba-da, bum, bum, bum. Superfan Jimmy knows the Powerline dance.
Yeah.
Knows the eye-to-eye dance.
Yeah, we have to learn it from him, for sure.
Maybe someday we'll do a podcast episode where Jimmy teaches us a dance, and everyone can listen to us learn the dance.
That'd be fun. We could video that one, put it on the YouTube. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Other huge bit of news, alluded to this earlier, rotation is coming. Personally, I think this is amazing news for the game. Do you remember when I said a few episodes ago that the entire game would be better off if they sliced off the most, 20, 25 most powerful cards from the game?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Well, that is effectively what I think rotation will accomplish. The entire meta will shift. All of these decks that we've been playing for 2 years they're going to look quite a bit different if they exist at all. That is going to be refreshing. It's going to be fun. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be new.
Yeah, I agree. Rotations sound scary when someone first starts talking about it, but I remember rotations from Hearthstone, and eventually you get over it, and it's okay, and new cool decks come out of the woodwork, and you can find new cool cards to build stuff with. I mean, there are definitely some cards that I remember mourning for a long time from Hearthstone. I'm looking at you, Galacrond. But I am excited for this to happen in Lorcana because I think that the characters and the cards in Lorcana are better than Hearthstone. So I have a lot of faith that there's not going to be as many things that are lost that will be really upsetting.
It opens up the door down the line to use all of your old cards in different formats. There's going to be this kind of legacy format where you can use all your cards. But imagine as the card pool expands, the potential for theme nights. You have to use all cards from one movie franchise, or you have to use only cards from one color ink. There are going to be all of these opportunities to use all of your cards. And there's going to be so much more opportunity for creative deck building, which is the best part of playing a trading card game. I mean, if you just want to play the same game, over and over again and really drill down into these turn-by-turn sequences, like play chess. That's the best game for that kind of style of play, right? We play TCGs because there is room for creativity and there is room for innovation, and it's always developing. And so rotation is going to help with that so much. I think it's necessary for the longevity of the game, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be great. There were a lot of highlights from all this news. It was really exciting. Very few lowlights.
I can think of one major lowlight.
Yeah.
It just happened today, and I was really disappointed.
Oh, no.
Charlotte LaBeouf was spoiled for the next set for Reign of Jafar.
We love Charlotte LaBeouf. I have not seen this card yet.
Well, you're not missing much because she's a vanilla 1/3.
Ew.
She's a 1/3 with no text. She's storyborn. She does absolutely nothing. This wicked cool character.
Stinky.
Yeah, it really stinks.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Is Lewis in the game?
No.
What the heck?
Well, maybe he's coming. Calm down. Maybe he's coming. We don't know.
Floodborn Charlotte LaBeouf when?
Ooh!
We did Charlotte LaBeouf as a dream card. 40 episodes ago.
We did.
And I don't remember what she did. I know it had something to do with supporting different princesses, but I know that whatever we came up with was better than a vanilla 1/3.
Yeah, it was something to that effect. Something to the effect that she supported princesses and helped them follow their dreams, which is what she does in the movie.
Yeah, or you could just make her nothing.
Ugh.
Yeah,
annoying.
low light. So we're not all just rose-tinted glasses over here.
You know what? Talking about Charlotte LaBeouf reminds me of beignets, and talking about beignets makes me pretty hungry. What do you say we head into this Lorcana Cafe?
Let's do it.
Hi.
Hi, Geraldine. How are you?
I don't know. I don't know what this is. Bye.
Whoa. What? Wait, Geraldine, come back.
Yeah.
What is this?
I don't know.
Oh, it's okay.
I don't know what it is. Okay, I forget what it is, and I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's all right.
All right. I think I'm pretty sure it's food. And
looks like food. Smells good.
I'm pretty sure it's cooked.
It's okay. We're gonna eat it one way or another. We trust the chefs here.
Okay. I gotta go. Oh my God.
Yikes.
She really panicked about this whole thing here.
She did.
Wow.
She's a pretty anxious person, I think.
This just looks like it's a couple cheeseburgers and fries.
Yeah, there's nothing to be worried about here. This is just good stuff.
It's pretty easy to identify.
Yeah, I think she just, got in her own head.
She let anxiety get the best of her, I think.
Oh, that brings us to our main course for this evening.
What?
We're going to talk about anxiety.
We sure are.
Especially as it relates to playing the game of Lorcana.
Yes.
We've been thinking a lot about this topic. One of the reasons being that we were anxious about our podcast failing.
Yeah, falling off the face of the earth a little bit. You get nervous about these things when you've been really consistent with it for over a year.
As the days ticked by and we hadn't released an episode, it was getting more and more troubling to both of us, I think.
Yes, we had friends checking in on us like we were dead or unwell.
Yeah.
So, and I don't blame them. It was very unlike us. It was anxiety inducing, but there's a lot of anxiety in the game of Lorcana as well. I had this nugget in my head when you came back from the first set champs you did this set, and you had said there were a bunch of people at the store who were wearing Off Metatobi Brewfest t-shirts, which are very cool t-shirts.
Yeah, I had a t-shirt on, an Off Metatobi's Brewfest shirt. Superfan Jimmy had one on. Our pal, Not a Bad Guy, Pete had one on. And it was a store that we hadn't been to much, only a couple times here and there. And so when we rolled in with these kind of like matching shirts, looking like a quote-unquote team or like a quote-unquote podcast, it seems like we were sweaty tryhards who were going to like come in and steal all the prizes to some folks.
Right. And I remember you saying that to me afterwards. I wasn't able to go to this set champs, but I heard the whole recap from you afterwards. And you had mentioned that other people in the store were nervous or they were talking about it. Or they thought you guys were just coming in like spikes. And it made me stop and reflect on how sometimes, especially in a set champ, your brain can do really silly things. Like look at a bunch of people with matching t-shirts in Derry, New Hampshire and go, oh my God, they're spikes. So it's interesting.
Especially because the t-shirt, that one in particular, is celebrating a total doofus in Off Metatobi.
Yeah. That's not in the spirit of it at all. But I mean, it's one of those things where they don't know what it is. They didn't read the shirt. They don't get it. So they just got anxious about it.
There are a lot of things when you go to a tournament in particular, and I think this is a good topic for set champ season, that can stir up some anxiety, some negative feelings, can make you feel like you're on edge and that, you're destined to not enjoy the day. So we wanted to talk about these, air some of these thoughts, and maybe you're feeling this way, maybe you have felt this way. And hopefully it helps quell some of those trepidations.
One of the things that can make you anxious is if you go to a new store for a set champ.
Fear of the unknown can always be difficult. Even something so simple as you don't know where or in what state the bathrooms might be in.
Where or how the bathrooms are.
Yeah.
Yeah. A new store also usually comes with a lot of new people that you don't normally play with. So it can be a lot. It can be a socially anxious kind of event.
Yeah, remember that if you do go to a new store, chances are there's somebody there, at least one other person, who also is going to a new store that day.
Yes, lean back on those kindergarten fundamentals of saying hi to somebody new and asking to play with them. They still work.
And vice versa, if you're at your old stomping grounds, your home store, and you see somebody you don't recognize, it's a great opportunity to make a new pal. Say, hey, how's it going? Welcome.
Make a friend.
Be the anxiety queller that you want to see in the world.
Yes. Something else that can make people really anxious is if your opponent rolls out a set champ mat. Now, I love doing this. I have one set champ mat and I love bringing it out. I feel like such a baller. And we're not saying that you shouldn't do this. We're just saying this is something that could cause anxiety.
I mean, anybody can have a lucky streak or like end up at a set champ with like 8 people and everybody else already has the mat or whatever. You don't know. Or similarly, if you see somebody who has like 1 million enchanteds, you can get intimidated by your opponent's swag. Like,
yes.
Remember to celebrate that. Like, that's a cool thing. You can tell them, that's cool. Congratulations on your mat. Lean into celebrating the game. Don't get intimidated by it because your day's going to come and you're going to win your own one day.
Yeah, and it's also a competition, a little bit of that intimidation is kind of fun. It's fun to say like, hey, I took a game against that person and they had a championship mat. I don't have one of those, like that's pretty cool. I played a lot of Ursula set champs and I didn't get one, but they did. And that's really neat that I beat them in a game or whatever. Or you took the whole set. I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, taking a game off of somebody with a set champ mat. Maybe that's the next rung on your ladder, right? To like getting your own mat. Getting to 17 or 18 or 19 lore in a game even, right? Just knowing that you can hang, giving yourself those boosts of confidence can help you along on your Lorcana journey.
Yes. Something else that's on our list of things that can make you anxious here reminds me of a story from the Seattle DLC. So this next note is about hand shuffling or someone who's just an expert with handling their cards, right? That could be someone who's snapping their cards, or it could be someone who's just really great at shuffling. This reminds me, and I don't know if we've told this story on the podcast before, of Rob's opponent at Seattle DLC. He sat down against a child, which is fun. It's fun to do that. This kid was like 12, I think. And at the beginning of the game, as you know, dear listener, you take 7 cards. And this person, slid his hand across the top of his deck and perfectly, slid off 7 cards like a baller.
Waved his hand over the top of his deck and 7 cards appeared in his hand.
And did it twice. Did it after the mulligan, too. And was like, whoop, 4 more, whoop, whatever. And it's just such a funny story because sometimes your ego gets the best of you and you sit down against a 12-year-old and you go, oh my God, this is going to be an easy game.
And then it turns out to be the Karate Kid.
Yeah. And that can be anxiety inducing. And God, I hope we meet that kid.
Yeah. If you know who that was, put him on the pod. Let's get him on here.
Yeah. If he's in your local circuit and you're like, oh, that's Santiago, then tell us about Santiago.
We'll have a 2-hour episode where he just describes how to do that and he tries to teach us.
And you guys can listen to it on the podcast.
Yeah. Something else that can be anxiety inducing. This kind of goes with the new store territory. But cramped seating or smells or environmental concerns.
Yeah.
Right? Can put you on edge. Those kind of sensory overload issues can be really tough. If you're elbow to elbow with somebody and you're trying to think and you can't because you're listening to them next to you and their games and you're trying to play your own game, that can be really, really tough.
Yeah. Some stores are real dark and stinky. Sometimes the card playing area is way in the back of a store that's already kind of dark. And then you're going into the dark back room of a dark place and it can kind of smell like Cheetos and feet sometimes. So it's definitely good to be aware of that and have ways to cope on your own. Maybe you bring a nice tea that smells nice or you're eating mints or something like that can help you out with that. Also,
advocate for yourself. It is totally reasonable to ask your opponent for some kind of concession towards any one of these issues. If you're cramped for space and there's a free table somewhere else, but you've been assigned, table 6 or whatever, you can totally ask to move. And if you're at all concerned about it, it's a little bit of a larger event, you can ask a judge too. Be like, Judge, is it okay? We're assigned to table 6. Can we just go sit over there? There's a ton more room. Just advocate for yourself. If you need to get up and get a breath of fresh air, advocate for yourself, call a judge, ask your opponent if it's all right. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself and know that there are these kind of pressures that you will end up putting on yourself. Okay, I know I'm assigned to this table. I should be sitting here. I have to finish my games before I get up and get a breath of fresh air or use the bathroom or whatever. Just know that you can advocate for yourself. You're here to have fun and play a game. And any opponent who's worth their salt, who's worth playing against will understand your human needs. So don't worry about that.
Most definitely. A human need, an environmental thing that you cannot change, however, is if the Wi-Fi in the store doesn't work. Yikes. Sometimes everyone's on Melee or you're reporting your results on Melee, etc., or you're looking at pairings on Melee, and sometimes Melee goes down or the Wi-Fi in the store goes down. And then tragedy can strike. That's where anxiety can set in. That's where you can go, I don't know what's going on next. I don't know what my record is. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what everybody else's record is. And if you're somebody who understands that math, that ain't me, or someone who is watching it constantly, that also ain't me, then it's really important for you to have that Wi-Fi. And if you don't have it, stress.
This is another time where you can advocate for yourself. You can always ask a judge for the standings. You can always go up to, usually it's the front desk or whatever, where they have the computer and they're running Melee. You can always ask to see that. Advocate for yourself. Don't feel like, you're in this position of pressure where you have to behave a certain way and you're going to inconvenience somebody.
Exactly.
A huge driver of anxiety to me, maybe the number one driver of anxiety, is high expectations for yourself, right? Because if you have no expectations for your own performance at any given event, then you can't fail, right? I think where anxiety creeps in for most people is when they want to do well, they want to hit a certain benchmark, they want to perform at a certain level, and when they don't, or they start to not perform at that level, then every game has this added weight, right? Like if you know you need to win 3 out of 5 rounds and you lose the first 2, all of a sudden, that next game or every game thereafter becomes this anxiety-riddled thing where you're like, your life is on the line, your tournament life is on the line, right? So when you have those high expectations, when you start to fail to meet those high expectations for yourself, that's when the anxiety kicks in.
For sure. If you walk in saying, I need a mat or I'm a failure at Lorcana, then that's not going to be fun for you. You're just not going to have a good time. Even if you win, you're going to be clenched the whole time and not having fun. Easier said than done, though. Certainly easier said than done. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think like literally everybody has to deal with. Remember, it's a card game, right? The word game is in there. It's a TCG, a trading card game. You have to derive fun from it. If the only way that you derive fun is through winning, then you are absolutely setting yourself up for failure. You try to find those ulterior goals, whether it's to make a new friend, try a new deck, to get a particular combo to work in a game. If you have those other targets, those more achievable and like fun-based targets, it's harder to get anxious about, oh, I hope I get my combo off today. I hope I get to play the new Mulan and like wipe a board today at least once. Like that's a fun goal.
That does sound pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of these, causes of anxiety or things that cause anxiety are sometimes things you won't even run into at a set champ. And if you do, the more seasoned you are, the better. If you can get over them the first time, then you can just keep on plugging on. They shouldn't really be anything that's going to stop you from wanting to play the game or should be frightening you from doing set champs if you've never done them before.
Yes, 100%. And, preparedness is the key. There are things you can't prepare for. You don't know, who every opponent is going to be. You might not know everything about the store, but just control the things that you can control and give yourself those little touchstones, whether it's like a snack that you want to have access to or a drink that you want to have access to, whether it's a scheduled phone call at a lunch break with a pal or like with a family member, or if it's music that puts you in the right state of mind, plan for those touchstones. Make sure you have your little like survival kit ready to go. And with that, you'll be all set for set champs. We highly, highly, highly recommend that you go to set champs. If you're like thinking that you're not good enough or that, you wouldn't have fun or competitive Lorcana isn't for you, just go. Just have a fun time.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Go to a store you play at all the time, a store that you're comfortable with, or even a store that you just shop in, even if you've never played at a tournament before. Bring a deck, feel confident in that deck, feel good about it, know what all your cards do, have some experience having played with that deck, and then you can't go wrong. So what if you lose? You're not in any worse of a position than you were when you were sitting on your couch.
And a little tip, when you do go to that event, keep track of your score on pen and paper, which will allow you to write down your opponent's names. It can be so helpful to write down somebody's name, and that way the next time you see that person, you are able to kind of rekindle that connection or help grow that connection. I have met so many people through Lorcana who are now pals, right? Who I played in some tournament, and now they're a genuine friend. It really does happen.
We can make friends as adults, everybody. It's happened. It continues to happen. Well, with all this talk about friendship, I am starving for something else really sweet. I'm talking dessert.
Yeah, it's dessert time. That was really meaty. Some intense discussion there. Let's get to dessert.
Hi.
Hi, Geraldine. Those were really good burgers. Thanks for those.
Right, they were burgers. That's what I meant. I knew it.
No,
Dang it.
yeah, no.
So stupid.
You're not stupid, Geraldine.
Of course they were cheeseburgers. It was so easy to see.
Yeah, that's all right. It's okay.
Man.
What have you brought us? I bet you know what this one is.
Cream brulee?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God. Okay.
You're doing great.
Thanks. And bon appetit.
Thank you.
Thanks, Geraldine. I think she meant creme brulee.
Yeah, it's creme brulee, but
Okay.
I'm just happy yeah.
Take the little wins where we can get them.
Exactly. You take the wins where you can get them. Speaking of some wins where we can get them, we wanted to talk about some set champ experiences that we have had. Now, we've had a combined 12 hours in the past couple weeks, which we carefully allocated towards attending set champs.
Yep. We've been underprepared. But what was really interesting about the set champ that we just went to most recently was that a lot of people also said they really didn't have time to play this set. I think it's a busy time of year for a lot of people.
Super busy time of year. The set was kind of compressed, right? It's the shortest window of time to play that we've had for any Lorcana set. The level of practice was probably lower than we've seen, at least where we are.
So, Brett, you went to that first set champ on your own. We briefly talked about that in the last course here. Tell us more about what happened. What did you play? Who did you face? How'd you do?
So I hadn't played any Lorcana for 3 weeks, right? From the from the day that we bought our house, I think we played maybe 3 or 4 games of Lorcana, the two of us.
Yeah.
So, it was really tough to have any time to practice. So in the face of the Hiram ban and the Fortisphere ban, I turned to a deck that I hadn't played in a really long time since Into the Inklands, which was Steel Song.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Love Steel Song. What did you see? What were you up against?
Yeah, I faced a wide array of decks. The meta's pretty open. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit, but I faced an Amber Amethyst mid-range deck, which torched me. Archer got me real good. Managed to win a few rounds against Ruby Amethyst and against Blurple, and I ended up 3-2, and I snuck into the top 8 of the 20-person event. Yeah, on Strength of Schedule, which was great. So I got the Enchanted, and then I got totally Pete locked by Pete.
Oh man.
Pal Pete beat me with a bunch of Petes. He played 9 Petes in 2 games.
Gross.
It was really tough. I had a game where I had 5 or 6 songs in my hand. My hand was just 5 or 6 songs. It was pretty tough. He smoked me. But it was really fun. It was a good day. I didn't play great. Steel Song is just very, very strong right now, and I attribute any success I had to that fact.
You're also a good player. It doesn't mean it all evaporated from you.
Yeah, it was fun. I really liked playing Miss Bianca and the Troubadour, so a couple new cards, and again, hadn't played that deck in a really long time. Sleeved up the new Dragon Shield Ambers, which were really cool. I love that color, that kind of burnt orange. Love those sleeves.
Dragon Shield.
Yeah, so that was great. It was a great way to get away for an afternoon and play some cards. And then the following weekend, this past weekend, you and I both went to another set champ in Portsmouth at Diversions. Katie, how was your experience at set champs? What did you play?
I played Ruby Amethyst. I love me a good Ruby Amethyst. And as we've harped on here, folks, we didn't have a lot of time to practice. So I wanted to go to a color combination that I know a lot about. I know how it works and I'm comfortable with it.
And it's a deck that you've had a lot of success with. I mean, you had a streak last summer when we were playing a good bit where you finished first. You won 3 tournaments in a row with Ruby Amethyst. You just couldn't be beat for a while there.
I'm coming back this summer, folks.
So was this the kind of traditional Ruby Amethyst build?
No, this was more of an aggressive, evasive sort of build. It was a lot of fun to play. It feels kind of sucky for your opponent, but it feels really powerful for you when you have a whole board of evasives and they can't do anything. Because if you're not playing against a Steel or a Ruby, it's real hard for them to clear your stuff. There's basically no removal. So you just sit there with your full board and you just watch the lore roll in.
Rushing in Maui Shark, who's been buffed up by the Peter Pan Shadow Finders. Pretty fun.
Oh my god, unreal. And having Maui Shark out there with some Pirate's Life and just being able to flip around the lore completely, shove 3 in your own favor. Or if you have 2 Maui Sharks out and you are able to play a Pirate's Life, you can swing 4 lore for yourself and take 2 away from your opponent. It's pretty fun. I had a good time with it. I faced a lot of Amethyst decks. There were some Amethyst Steel. There were some other Ruby Amethyst there. Amethyst seems like it's a hot color right now. I know that it often is, and we'll talk about this more when we talk about the whole meta in general, but I had a lot of fun. It was a fairly small set champ. There were about 11 of us that were there. I ended up coming in 6th place, which I felt really good about. I got an enchanted hero. I felt really good about it, especially because 2 nights before I felt like I didn't know how to play Lorcana anymore and that I should give up the game forever. So I didn't, and I showed up anyways. I was never going to give up the game forever, but sometimes it's hard. You get really hard on yourself, especially if you're excited to participate in a set champ and you really want to do your best. It can be a little bit stressful, but I had a lot of fun playing that Ruby Amethyst list, and we are definitely going to at least one more set champ, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring that same list to that.
Nice. Yeah, you were 2-2. You lost a really close game 3 to the eventual winner of the event. So you were right there. You played really well. I watched a couple of your games, and I mean, you were making really strong decisions.
Yeah, there were a lot of great players there. A lot of really good, tight games. I went to game 3 on every match that I played. We played 4 rounds, so every time I went to 3 games, which feels good. Even if you lose the round, like I lost 2 and I won 2, it's nice to not get 2-0'd.
Yeah, I saw one crazy game at the end there where you had Maui Shark in double Pirate's Life to hit exactly 20 and sneak a win, right?
Yeah, that happened to me twice.
Woo!
It was awesome. Boy, do I love Pirate's Life. A card I had not played in a deck before this deck. And man alive, it's a good time.
You know, we actually have a playset of foil Pirate's Lives, I think. Like, we just happen to have pulled 4 of those.
I'm going to bling it out for the next set champs.
We totally should.
Yes. How did you do in Portsmouth, Brett?
So I took a different deck. I took Chernadog. I just thought it looked really cool, and I wanted to play Chernabogs, is basically what it boiled down to. I wanted to play the Tramp that lets you put a bunch of cards in your discard and then play free Chernabogs. That sounded like fun to me. I didn't have any reps on it. I just brought it.
I love that. I think it's great. And you made top 4, so...
I did. I snuck into the top 4. I faced 3 different Amethyst decks on the day, and the Genie gave me a lot of trouble. Like 3 out of the 4 games that I lost on the day were to the Genie. The only evasives I have in the deck were 2 copies of Go-Go, right? So like trying to combat Peter Pan and Genie and Iago and Elsa with that was really, really difficult. Those were basically like where my losses came from. And then I had some really, really fun wins where like you're just building up this board for the Tramp. You land a Tramp, maybe you get another Tramp, and then you get a free Chernabog like on turn 4. That's wicked fun. It's wicked, wicked fun. I think it's the most fun that aggro has ever been in Lorcana, if you can even call it an aggro deck, because it doesn't really quest that hard early in the game. Like sometimes if you're going first, it does, but a lot of times you're just like sitting there and trying to build a wide board so that all of your wide board effects are even stronger. Your Tramps, your Crickies, your Little Tramps. It's not even quite an aggro deck, but as fast decks go, it's wicked fun. I love the planning aspect. I had a really, really good time and played some really, really tight games. I got absolutely crushed in the top 4 by Tiago. Tiago, who for a good while, and he might still be, was the number 1 ranked player on Lorcanito.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And he said that he actually got to rank 1 and then was like bored. And so he made a new account and he hit rank 2 with that account. So he was ranked number 1 and 2 on Lorcanito. And he absolutely crushed me. He just kept playing Genies when he was on the play. He just played like Genie on 4, 5, 6, quested away, couldn't do anything about it. He knew that was how he won. And so that's what he played towards, and it was great. And then in the second game, I couldn't find a Chernabog after playing the Tramp, and that really ended up being the difference because he was too good of a player to ever feed my Rapunzel.
Yeah, and he took the whole thing. Took the whole kit and caboodle.
Congrats to Soccer Mom Jess.
Oh my gosh, yes. Soccer Mom Jess, who had not ever gotten top 8 before in her set champ history, came in that morning and was like, I just hope I get top 8. It'd be so cool to get the enchanted card. She came in second.
She made it all the way to the final table. She made it to the 3rd game on the draw, and she could get to 18 lore. She played to her outs. It was a strength on her Fred rather than it getting challenged that kept Tulor off the board. I mean, it was really, really, really close. She almost took down the whole tournament.
Yeah, she did great. It was so cool to watch somebody get a victory when they haven't gotten one like that before. So it was really cool.
And this is somebody who hadn't played a card game before, right? Who might have had some of those anxieties that we were talking about earlier in the podcast, and she has come so far as a player. She's really stuck with it. She's been a great student of the game. She's practiced so much, and to see her skills burgeon has been awesome. And I'm so happy that she had such a great run.
Overall, I kind of enjoy the meta that we're playing in.
It is wide open.
Yeah, it really feels like it's anybody's game. I don't feel bogged down by certain boogeymen decks in any sense.
No, every deck has a weakness. Everything is beatable. There are so many decks that have good game into a majority of the field. So you can play any color combination really, and have a pretty good time.
It's exciting for the purposes of theming decks and making sillier decks that might actually have a better chance in this meta than they would in other metas. I know that the night before we were going to Portsmouth, you were experimenting with a cool Mulan kind of themed Mushu deck build, which, maybe could have done well if we had had time to test it and really build it and spend the time making sure that it was finely tuned. I think that could have had a pretty good chance in this meta.
Yeah, I still want to play it. I still want to build it and try it. Basically, the idea being that you play a whole bunch of Mulans, as many as you possibly can, and also play both of the large shift Mulans, and basically say, like, at any point, if your opponent exerts any character, you will have a relevant Mulan shift ready to go.
Yeah, and I love that.
It'd be really fun. Plus, you get to play Mushu and like Li Shang and Fa Zhu and...
Love a theme deck. Theme decks are so underrated. I know the point of Lorcana is that it's cool that all these different inks are meeting up and there's different characters from whatever and blah, 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 blah. But sometimes it's super fun to be like, this is all Mulan and we're just going ham and I'm going to get Mulan items and Mulan locations and here we go. It's fun. I would love to do some kind of a fun tournament with theme-only decks.
Yeah, that Mulan Imperial General card is so cool. The art is amazing. Such a cool effect. I just want to try it. I want to make that card happen a little bit.
We'll report back on you with how that goes.
We are going to, if all goes according to plan, a set champ in the last weekend of the set. So we'll definitely be sure to let you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Here you go, Katie. Here's a little mint for you.
Ooh, yum, but it makes me nervous.
What do we have here, Katie?
Well, Brett, you have crafted up the dream card this week, and I actually have not seen it until now. I knew what the character was going to be, obviously, because it's the theme of this episode. I'm looking at a dream card for Anxiety. This is Anxiety from Inside Out 2, dear listener, a Pixar movie. And Pixar has not made it to Lorcana yet, but boy, we can dream. This is Anxiety from Inside Out 2, a Pixar movie, and while Pixar is not yet in Lorcana, we can only dream, dear listener. I'm looking at Anxiety Emergent Emotion, an Amethyst 5-cost uninkable card with 1 strength, 1 willpower, and quests for 1.
Anxiety has the ability What Riley Needs, and it's a little bit of a mouthful here. Here we go. When you play this character, draw a card, gain 1 lore, exert chosen character, and give chosen character challenger +1 this turn. Then, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand.
I love that so much. It has the flavor text, that's not going to haunt us for the rest of our lives at all. And it's a common card. This is so funny. Wow. That's so anxiety-inducing.
So much going on. It's so frenetic. There's so many things happening.
I love that.
It's a little bit of everything Amethyst all jammed into one.
Yeah.
And you do it all right now.
And she's 5 uninkable, which is stressful.
Yep.
And she's only a 1/1. She's very fragile.
Yep. Very, very, very fragile.
And she does just like a lot of stuff.
Yep. A little bit of everything all over the place, right?
Draw a card, gain a lore, exert a character. Could be your own, could be your opponent's, doesn't say. And give chosen character challenger +1 this turn.
And then you have that Madam Mim bounce effect where you can either banish her or, you bounce something.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of everything Amethyst all crammed together.
I love it.
Great utility potentially. And right, like if there are so many things you have to worry about, like if your opponent is playing Amethyst and they have this card and you have to worry about anxiety, right? You're worried about them drawing, you're worried about them gaining lore, you're worried about them exerting your characters, or what if they give one of their characters Challenger +1? What if they bounce their, Elsa back to their hand, etc., etc., etc. So an extremely flavorful card, I hope.
Incredible. I would love for this card to come to fruition and really exist someday.
Katie, what's next on the menu?
It's time for s'more awards. La da 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 s'more awards.
Can you believe it? I mean, it feels like the s'more awards were like yesterday.
I think that they were.
This has been such a short set, right? Like in terms of just number of weeks that we've been in this set, it is the shortest. So
ooh, doggy.
It really wasn't that long ago that we were doing this, but it's time once again.
Here we go.
So be on the lookout. This week, the voting for the Arcasia's Island S'more Awards should be up. If you vote, you'll get entered in a giveaway. Make sure to tell all your friends to vote. It's always a great time to see what everybody thinks about the set.
I love the S'more Awards. We're going to get all kinds of cool announcers once again, like we did last time. So be on the lookout for your favorite content creators to be coming on by the Lorcana Royal Studio for our broadcast of the S'more Awards.
Folks, we have so many ideas for episodes coming up. We're really excited, and thank you for coming back and listening and sticking with us through that little pause that we had. It's not something that we enjoyed. We didn't want to take time away from the podcast. It was just that the practical and logistical realities of life kept us from recording. And so, now that we're a little bit more settled in this home, we hope that it doesn't happen again anytime soon.
We are so happy to be back here. We will have a crying baby in the background of our podcast before we will ever skip weeks on purpose.
Folks, if you want to stay in touch with us, you can follow us on social media as ever. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. You can email us at smorcana@gmail.com.
Or you can beep us on our beepers.
Yes, we have beepers. We'll link the numbers to our beepers in the show notes.
And our personal cell phones.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
We should do that.
Beepers or cell phones?
Cell phones.
Okay.
Maybe someday.
My number is 888-222.
All right, folks. Until next time, you keep on snacking and enjoy set champs.
This tastes like anxiety.